This is Sdfuse, the guy who worked on VH2 back in 2022 and 2023. I'd like to preface this video by stating that this video is based almost purely off memory, off of incidents that happened almost 2 years ago. So there's a very high probability that things have been misremembered, or I've been given wrong information, or I'm just completely wrong about something. While most things I'd like to think in this video are true, take everything with a grain of salt. Another thing, I mentioned this later in the video, but I got a new mic midway through recording this video, so like half the video is recorded with my old really like bad headset mic, and then like the other half is recorded with like the good mic that I'm using right now. So I'm sorry if like some of the transitions might be kind of jarring with like the different mic usages and stuff. Another thing I'd like to mention is the fact that I don't really have a lot of physical proof that back up a lot of the statements I make in this video, because most of the proof was in the old VH2 Discord, which has since been deleted. That like Tom deleted it back then. And then there was a second VH2 Discord that I had created that I ended up deleting after I heard something where some guy got deleted because a bunch of bad people took over Discord. I was scared of some stupid crap, so it caused me to delete that Discord. So I don't have much physical proof to back up my statements here, so you're just gonna have to take my word for it. And I wouldn't blame you if you just take it if you don't believe me, because I don't have any proof to back up my statement, however. I think I should start this with explaining who I am and my relation to VH2. I started playing Roblox in 2010. Yes, I was 3. I was also playing World of Warcraft at the time. Here's a photo if you want it. There. However, in 2015, I ended up making a new account. I ended up losing access to the old account a long time ago. But I ended up making a new account, and I started playing like random games. I was playing like Ripple mini games, 2-player Gun Factory Tycoon, Miner's Haven, and however, in August 2015, I saw VH2 on the front page. I was like, hey, this game seems pretty cool. So I was little 8-year-old me was like, you know what? Let's play this game. So I started playing VH2 in August 2015, and 8-year-old me was setting me up for something insane later on. In 2015 and 2016, I was like a generic VH2 player. I was teaming, I was glitching, I was toxic to people, I was everything. I eventually stopped playing in 2016. I moved on to other games. I was mainly playing like Miner's Haven, like Phantom Forces I think as well. And eventually like 2017 I was playing Fortnite. Moving on to 2020 in July, I was just looking at my homepage, and I got recommended Vampire Hunters 3, and I'm like, whoa. I didn't know they made a third game. And I was like, I remembered playing VH2 back in the day. I'm like, oh, I'll give this game a try, see if it's been improved since the earlier product. And I instantly fell in love with VH3. I eventually became a prominent member in the community, and I made a map. I made multiple gadget skins and stuff. Unfortunately, that map has since been removed. But like 2020 VH3 was like peak VH3 in my opinion. It was great. I mean, I've played the new game as of recent, or like not new game, but I've played modern VH3 as of recent, and I mean it's all right. It's not as bad as I've said it is in the past. I still think 2020 was the peak. Eventually, while playing VH3, I remembered VH2, and I'm like, I wonder what VH2 is like nowadays. I mean, I played it back in 2015, and I was like, see what's different since the last time I played it. It sucked. Basically, the game had been completely neglected by Zach, and so I think it only got like one update between 2016 and like now, and it was like in 2017 or something. He added like the leisure center and like fixed the game in like 2019 or something like that. But the game was terrible and just completely neglected. And I'm like, I got that $1 million idea. I'm like, what if I were to remake VH2 with the good ideas of VH3, and then like merge it into like a VH2.5 of some kind. And that's where I ended up getting that the idea of like the VH2.5, which has been basically the game I've been working on for the past 4 years. And unfortunately back then I was terrible. I had almost no Roblox development. The only games I'd made were free model games back then. And so actually trying to make a game from scratch was really hard for me. I ended up learning I had to learn everything from scratch, and I mean I eventually made something, but it was really bad. You know, I didn't know UI, I didn't know how to do cutscenes, I didn't know how to do anything. I ended up learning how to do remote events, and I ended up bragging about it to Zach at some point. But yeah, I was not a good developer back then, and I ended up stopped working on VH 2.5. I ended up rebooting it again later, but then I quit again. Yeah, it was. Oof. In like March or April 2021, I ended up getting banned from VH3, mainly because I was an asshat to everyone. I mean, I had like 50 warnings or something like that by the time I ended up getting banned. And if you want to know like the exact reason as I got banned, I posted like a meme in PictoChat. I don't remember what it was, but it was something like, but like I ended up going to camp literally like right after posting that, and then I came back 2 days later. I'm like, oh shoot, I'm banned. I didn't know that happened. But yeah, I ended up getting banned, and I didn't get unbanned until like early 2022. So after a year-long hiatus, I was playing random games. I was playing I think mainly Gary's mod Black Mesa roleplay. My friends Road, Lost Username, and Pigeon convinced me to rejoin the VH3 Discord, and on like an alt with like a different name. And it just we're trying to see how long it would take before they like figure out it's me and ban me. And so it didn't take very long. Z was able to sniff out my alt. I guess they remembered that it was my alt account, and for some odd reason, instead of banning me, you know, Geo Madness was like, you know what? Let's let Sdfuse back. Let's unban him. Well, I don't really know why. I mean, I remember him saying like, oh, he's all for second chances, and I guess it had been a year at that point. This was also like right before the Ham High drama, you know, started out. So like, I'm not gonna get into it because it's all speculation. So I don't want to like say like things that just aren't true. But I have my suspicions as to why Geo wanted me unbanned. Around the same time, as like the Ham High drama started breaking out, I started working on VH 2.5 again. I don't really remember the exact reason as to why, but I just started working on it again. And Ham High and John Crow were both in the VH 2.5 Discord as like the whole drama was kicking out. And I remember, like, for some odd reason, the VH3 team was just completely withholding information as to what was going on. And like, I remember, I'm just like, I'm not gonna just get rid of them if like if I don't know what's going on. I mean, I remember Zach had left some like cryptic message in the announcements channel, like as to what was going on, and I'm like, I'm not gonna get rid of them. And like right before the drama went out, and I had given John access to like the moderator channels on VH 2.5, and that ended up blowing up because okay, we finally figured out what Ham High had done. But then we were like, what did John do? And so I kept John in the VH 2.5 Discord because he was actually pretty useful when it came to like trying to ask questions about like VH2 and stuff. So yeah, I didn't know what John had done because I hadn't been told, and to this day I still don't know what he did, to be completely honest. I mean, we were told that he had like one wrong thing he said, and then he apologized, but they still ended up getting rid of him. I'm like, I don't know what happened with him. But basically, they ended up figuring out that John had access to the mod channels on VH 2.5, and Geo started going off on me like, why does John have access? I'm like, he had access before the whole drama went down, and to be completely honest, I don't know what he did to deserve to get banned. And just, I mean, eventually he got banned. I mean, I, I don't know what he did. Even to this, if someone would like DM me on Discord telling me exactly what he did, I would absolutely love that, and I would like write a comment on this video explaining that. But like, I don't know what he did. And so it's just from that point on, me and Gio have just like we've always been we'd always beef with each other. I think just because of the whole stigmatism with John being having mod access on VH 2.5.
You messed up. I heard that.
As I said in the previous section, I'd been working on VH 2.5 again. Development, unfortunately, was incredibly rough. There were a lot of game-breaking bugs that like just wouldn't fix them. Like no matter what I did, they wouldn't fix. And like especially things got really bad once VH 2.5 or wow VH 2.5 once VH2R began to take shape and stuff, and like people started moving over there because it honestly was a better product than 2.5 at the time. The pressure was really on, and it really started getting into our heads as developers. An example of like a bug that was occurring in VH 2.5 at the time was like spectating spectating is like a trivial thing when it comes to a Vampire Hunters game. I mean, once you die, you want to spectate the game, right? But unfortunately, no matter what I did with VH 2.5, just spectating just never worked. Like I remember trying to patch it so many times, and it would not work. And I think I managed to get it to work once, and then like after a week, it just stopped working again. I was like, what the fuck? So that was probably the biggest bug with VH 2.5 that I can remember, and it was probably the leading factor that led us to want to work on VH2 was just spectating and probably the pressure of VH2R. Eventually, the VH 2.5 team, which at the time comprised of Red Rad, Ryusaki, and I, we got like fed up with just the bugs. But like there were so many, and I was just like, we were just fed up. And my code base was so bad in VH 2.5. Oh my god. But so we decided we were gonna make a shitty slideshow, like a Google PowerPoint or whatever. And we finished it in like an hour, like not even. And I just DM'd it to Zach. And then like the next morning, he's like, "All right, you want to work on VH2? Go for it." I'm like, "Wait, what? That worked?" Because like we were not expecting that to work, and we were expecting to just get like probably like told off by Zach. And for like no, but nope, it worked. And to our complete shock, the VH 2.5 team was working on VH2 now. I remember vividly the moment I first loaded in to like VH2 in Studio, and just like looking through the code base, it was so bad. Like it showed definite signs of just complete neglect, and the fact that it was made in 2015, and like it was like a miracle that I managed to figure out most of it in like that short like 2-week span between when I got access and when I reopened the game. But like there were so many bugs that I fixed in that 2 weeks. Like I was genuinely surprised with myself with how I managed to pull that off. I'm sure you guys want some examples. So one of the examples was VSpam, or it's also known as regrabbing. It was a bug that's been in the game since 2015 and was so ingrained into VH2's like ecosystem, I guess you could say, that like most people just didn't consider it a bug. But newsflash, it was a bug. It wasn't meant to be in the game, and it kind of ruined the game. So it turns out Zach already had a fix for it. He just didn't use it. Like there was like a variable in the game or whatever that was called like vamp debounce or something, and it was just set to like 0. So you could just spam V whenever you wanted, and I just set it to like 3 seconds or something, and all of a sudden VSpam was fixed after it. I think I had to do some server side modifications as well, but yeah, the VSpam was fixed. And then the next fix I did was a gameplay like balancing change. So obviously in old VH2, vampires were one shot to the detective, and that was kind of bad game design. I mean, it's game design from murder, so like Gmod murder. They took one shot to kill the murderer. So that kind of like was brought over from VH VH1, or like it went from murder to VH1, then it was in VH2. And thankfully, I will say this: VH3 fixed that, and it definitely wasn't like perfect, but it was definitely a huge improvement. The way I went about like balancing the game was, so initially I wanted the default gun. Okay, the default gun did 100 damage with a 3-second cooldown. I was gonna make it so it did 50 damage with a 3-second cooldown. And we did some play testing with it, and like it was kind of fun, but just people complained about the fact that, okay, the vampires were technically 3-shot, because there was also Siphon that was added, which I'll get into in a second. But it caused the vampire to heal when he grabbed like survivors, and so it technically made the vampires 3-shot, which got really annoying, I guess, for people. So what they ended up doing was, or what I ended up doing was, I set it like 75 3 seconds, which became like kind of like the standard. So that was the way I balanced the detective vampire thing. So okay, they lose V-stam, but now they're 2-shot. The next thing I did was I made it so each gun skin or whatever like actually changed the stats of the gun. So for example, the lightning gun, it did what, if I remember correctly, 30 damage, I think. And it had like a 1-second cooldown, which looking back, that's absolutely insane, but it was also incredibly expensive, which now that I think of it would make the game pay to win, which would kind of make it suck. Well, it's a 10-year-old game, who cares? But basically the lightning gun was like 30 damage 1 second, but while like Diamond Destiny was like I think it was like 95 damage, but it had like a 5-second cooldown. So it was like a pick your poison situation. Do you want like more damage but less fire rate, or more fire rate but less damage? Like if that makes any sense. Back to another thing I did is I added Siphon to the game. So basically, when a vampire would like grab a survivor or whatever, they would siphon health from the survivor. So like, okay, they would drain health from the survivor, but then they would gain health back, which would allow the vampire, if they managed to go a long time without getting shot, to regain all their health back, which I think was a great feature in getting added. I just wish I maybe should have made Siphon a little bit more powerful to balance out the fact that it's 3 seconds isn't a lot of time between shots, even though it might feel like it sometimes. So that would literally mean it would take 6 seconds, like maybe, to kill a vampire if you have really good aim. The hardest part, I would say, of when I was working on VH2, like those 2 weeks, was probably patching Supremacy. So for those who are not really big into like the hacker scene or whatever, because I was young, I used to dabble in the SynthX when it came to Roblox, but basically Supremacy was a very destructive hack GUI that was made by someone named Krasis, that basically allowed you to just completely break VH2. You could like spawn yourself gadgets, you could like teleport everyone, I think, and like you made it so like you V-spammed so fast that like you would like instant kill people for some reason. But it was incredibly destructive. And I remember I was showed the GUI by, I think, Philip, and I'm like, I gotta patch this. I mean, this is obviously, I can't just release the game and this still works. So what I did is I did the bold move, and I got into contact with the guy that made it. I got into contact with Krasis, and he was fully in support of actually helping me patch it. He literally said, like, even back then when he made it in like 2018 probably, if Zach had gotten into contact with him and asked him, hey, can you help me patch this, Kraz said he would have definitely have tried to help, because I don't know if this is true or not, but this is what he said. I remember him saying that the reason he made it was because VH2 had been so neglected by Zach that he was like, oh, I'm just gonna make a hack GUI to completely make a fool out of this game. On September 1st, 2022, VH2 reopened. It got pretty mild success, especially for being closed for as long as it was. It had been closed since December 2021. It had about 1,000 players, I think, at its peak on opening day in September. And unfortunately, it probably could have kept a lot of it. I mean, obviously, it would have dwindled over time. I mean, not everyone's going to stay on VH2. But unfortunately, there was a fatal bug with vampires versus humans. So I don't remember the exact cause, but it would cause the whole game to just break. And I'm like, oh my god, I have to fix this. Because obviously, you have a lot of full servers, which vampires versus humans. I think it was like 8 players for it to happen. So you have 16 people per server, and obviously that would cause some issues. So I went back and I fixed it. I'm like, well, I gotta shut down every server now. So I shut down every server. I'm like, oh, people will join back. They'll understand. Yeah, that didn't happen. So basically, until like early 2023 or whatever, when the player count finally began to drop, the player count kind of hovered around like 90, and then like on good days it would be 120, something like that. But like, and now we're gonna get on to like the beginning of the end of VH2, because basically everything after like September 1st was it was good for about 2 weeks, I would say, and then it just went downhill. There was a lot of beef, and a lot of bad things that occurred. I should probably start this section off by getting the characters in this defined, and I should probably also mention that I have a new microphone. If I end up going back and re-recording a section, I'm gonna end up having a new mic. I got a new one for Christmas, so yeah. First, a character is ZacAttackk. He was the owner of Vampire Hunters. You know, he made VH1, VH2, and VH3, and Vampire Hunters Rooms, if you know what that is. But yeah, ZacAttackk. There was me, Sdfuse. I was the head developer of VH2. There was Road. He was a developer. Red Brad. He was a developer. And then Tom463S was also a developer. There was Tekrin, but I'm pretty sure he didn't do a single thing, so he's not involved. Next is the moderators. We got Yizin, who was a moderator. Probably referring to her in this video as Ren, however. There's Philip, who was a moderator. There was Sir Nether, who was a VH2 and VH3 mod at the time. There was Bendy, who was a moderator. There was Fotis, who was a moderator. There was V-Cherries, who was a moderator. And then there was Dudami1, who was a moderator for about a singular day. Next, we have the content creators. There was, the important ones were Marie Conhan and Vernon. I don't remember Vernon's Roblox username, so yeah. Now, there was a lot of drama between 2022 and 2023, but to be completely honest with you guys, most of it I don't even remember. And the people I've talked to, trying to, for like the video and stuff, trying to like make sure if things are actually true, they don't seem to remember much of it either. One I can put my finger on that like I can explain is it has to do with Anthony Aftermath, a member of the VH3 community. Basically, a long time ago, for some odd reason, he had this obsession with posting very obscene images in the VH3 Picture Chat channel. I don't know why it took him so long to get banned, but he did. It took him a while to get banned, but he finally did get permabanned, and I ended up going to the VH 2.5 Discord, or I guess it was VH2 at the time, and I started just clowning on him. It wasn't the best move on my part. I will be completely honest. He proceeded to go to our DMs, and he remembered, oh, I remember Sdfuse leaked half of Team Text to me because he felt bad for me because people in Team Text kept mocking him. So, yeah, he went to Geo and started talking and showing him all the images of me leaking messages in Team Text, and yeah, ooh, that was not a good day. The other one I can remember is at one point, one of the VH2 community members was, sexually harassing one of my moderators. Yeah, that's not a good thing. May I also add that that moderator was 14 at the time? I hope the dude who was doing that goes to jail. Eventually, in like early 2023, I realized, okay, I need a break. I've been doing this for way too long. I just need a break. So, I went on break. I took a very, very long hiatus. I think it was like a couple months, but during this whole hiatus, I realized, oh, wait a minute. Someone needs to work on the game in the meantime. So I had a choice between, what was it, Road, Red Brad, or Tom. So Red Brad at the time, I didn't really see him as having
the development experience required to really work on the game at the time, to be completely honest. I'm sorry, Red Rad, but and then Road, I saw him in the same light, even though it just wasn't true. He probably would have been perfectly fine working on it. So, but in contrast to that, Tom had worked on a previous VH1 remake, and also had worked on a couple games prior to that. I was like, oh, he seems like the perfect fit for this. So, I gave ownership to Tom and went on hiatus. Yeah, that was not a good decision on my part. During this hiatus, I was working on the map for Project Black Mesa roleplay and also was playing Geometry Dash. But eventually, after a few months, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna come back. And I came back to a complete shit show. Tom had basically completely just messed things up. Like, for example, he had Red Rad and the mods create like this Google Doc or whatever that had a list of bannable spots, and like, as an addendum for this next part of the video, a couple of these spots I actually went in and like to original VH2 and found that I actually ended up patching these at some point in like the build of VH2 I was using to like check all these spots.
Yo, what's up, guys? Sdfuse here in person. Whoa, I actually have a face. We're doing a live reaction to the document that was made by Tom and the VH2 mods back in the day, with bannable spots in VH2. This is gonna be crazy. I just dropped something. This is gonna be crazy, guys. So first spot, we have the dumpsters on Survivor's Hideaway. Here's what we're gonna be doing. He's talking about these. The dumpster's closed! What? Is he talking about this one? Oh, you know what? I think I probably closed it at some point. The barricaded room on Classic House. We got Classic House. Let's see. A barricaded room on this map. Is he talking about this room? You could get in here? How? How would you even get in here? Well, I mean, I guess that's understandable. I mean, if you're not supposed to be in here. Alright, what's next? We got very top of the billboard on gas station? What? Huh? Huh? What? What? Wait. Huh? There's no way. Even without the trusses there, that's easy to get up to. Nah. Top of the chimneys on top of the chimney on Quarry Cove? This chimney? I mean, I guess it's debatable. I would say no, because the vampires have increased. If a survivor gets up there, vampires have increased walk speed, so the jump's easier for them as compared to a survivor. And I'm pretty sure all it takes is two survivors stacking on each other to get up there, or like a really precise jump. What's next? Top of the cranes on what? Top of the cranes? I thought those things were unanchored. Hold on. No. No. They are not talking about up here. Oh, there's no way. There's a truss. Unless those trusses weren't there back then, this makes no sense. What? Alright, what's next? The wires underneath oil rig. Nah. You can collide with these? What? Huh? I mean, I guess, but no. That's not a wire. That's not a wire. Unless these were collided back in the day, this makes no sense. The chandeliers on the Maki Chapel. Oh, okay, yeah, that's justified. If you're managing to get up here, that's kind of crazy. The deep hole on Wolf Creek. There's a deep hole on Wolf Creek. I didn't know about this. It's like, where is this hole? Is it in here? What? What? I mean, I guess if this hole is real, I mean, that would make sense, but where is the hole? The broken lamp. Nuh-uh. No, 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 no. They are not. No. Are they talk? Oh. Oh. Nah. No, 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 no. Ain't no way. This lamp was bannable. I added this lamp as just to be a funny spot. I added this lamp. But the room behind the corroded doors in the Maki Hostel, that's understandable. I know what they're talking about. The trees on the back of Powerhouse. What? Nah, 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 nah. No. No way. These? These are easy to get onto. I could do this right now. Hold up. There's no way. I bet I could do this. Oh, come. Sure. No. I want to be on the client. What? What is There we go. Oh, my lag. Top of the lights in Redwood High School? What? Are they talking about? Okay, I can understand maybe this one. And I guess if you're getting up there, that's kind of insane. But like, yeah, I guess it's understandable because I know these ones are easy to get up on. Yes, I think they are. I've seen people get up there before. At least these two, I'm pretty sure are easy to get onto. But these other ones, okay, I can understand that one. All right. Under the trains on broken subway. I guess some of these spots could be justifiable, but I also know some of these spots are really easy to get into. Where are we going to next? Okay, that one's patched. We're good. The comically large pillar on Powerhouse. Huh? Oh, is it this one? Bro. Oh, wait, unless he's talking about this. If he's talking about this, that's fine. But if he's talking about this, it's literally so easy to get up here. Maybe. Maybe you need another player. I don't know. Maybe you need another player. What's next? Top of the tower on Namaki Chapel. I can see it, but that also does look kind of easy to get up onto. If you're like precise with your jumps and stuff. But I can see the reasoning. What's next? Inside the roof? What? Is he talking about in here? Because you can just shoot out the glass. Or the vampire can just break the glass. And I don't know where that one's coming from. I'll just take its word for it. Along the rims of the pillars at the ceiling and along the what? Oh, he's probably talking about this. Okay. That's fine. I understand that one. Now, I know I just went through a whole thing explaining a bunch of bannable spots that was on a document, but there was one spot that was bannable that wasn't on that document. It was, I don't remember if it was set like in like a message on the Discord or something, but I remember it was bannable at the time. It was that cage on Bramble Cottage, like the chicken coop or whatever. That cage was in a thumbnail for VH2, and it's bannable. I can understand, okay, it's really annoying to get in there, but if it's to the point where it's in a thumbnail for VH2, I don't think it should be banned. So, when I caught wind of all the crap that had been going on with Tom and VH2 and stuff, I was pissed. I'm like, this makes no sense. And the community, seeing that I didn't really like what was going on either, they were also pissed. So, we tried to talk to Tom, and for some odd reason, Tom just crashed out. And he proceeded to delete the VH2 Discord, he closed the game, and he just blocked everyone. In response, I made a new Discord, and I started trying to get into contact with Zach. I'm trying to tell him what's going on. So, the only thing Zach did was he just reopened the game, and didn't do anything else. So, there's this short period where Zach has reopened the game, and before the document that I'm going to talk about later on. And during this short period, a lot of bad things occur. For one, David. David was a really bad person in the VH2 community that I will admit I should not have kept around, and I just kept him around because I thought he was funny. I was like, hey, this guy's funny, I'm not gonna ban him. And then I even at one point said, like, Ren was about ready to ban her. I was like, if you ban if you ban David, I'm banning you. And so, yeah, I'll admit, I should have banned him. It was really dumb of me to keep him around. But it took him saying the hard R in Red Rad's DMs for me to finally ban him. But this was not before he harassed Ren and a couple other mods into the point where they actually just left the Discord. Good work, me. It also doesn't help that at this time, I promoted one of my friends. Dudami won the moderator. Now he didn't have it for very long, but I should not have promoted him. He went through no vetting process, no nothing. I was just like, oh, you're my friend? Oh, moderator. It's just complete nepotism. As I said, he got demoted after a day, but that day was one eventful day. Now, Dudami one's my friend, and I'm still friends with him to this day, although I don't really talk to him as much as I used to. For some odd reason, the other mods began spreading this lie about him that he was a transphobe. Now, I know he's edgy sometimes. I know he can say some outrageous things sometimes. I, to this day, have never seen the proof of that. I've never seen the proof of him being transphobic at all. I've asked for it. I've asked multiple people of the mod team, even after VH2 got deleted and stuff. Or, like, not deleted, but, like, after just VH2 died and stuff. I've asked people, like, hey, have you seen this proof? I still, to this day, never seen it. Anyways, after all this, Vernon, a CC and a prominent member in the VH2 community, he DM'd me, and he was like, here's a list of ways you can fix VH2 moderation, since, I don't know if it's been apparent, but a lot of the problems with VH2 have spawned from its moderation. And I tried my damnedest to listen to that list and do everything he told me to. But unfortunately, since I had taken a break from developers, Zach had actually removed my team create access from VH2. So, say I wanted to, like, demote Fotis or whatever, because he was on the list of people I was about ready to demote, because he was causing a lot of problems. I don't know if I said this earlier, but he would harass people and stuff, and he would just say bad things, and just, yeah, he was causing a lot of problems. I was about ready to try and get rid of him. But I was afraid if, say, I demoted Fotis, he would crash out, start going ham on the game and stuff, and like banning randoms and stuff, and making my life hell. So I didn't. I made an announcement in the VH2 Discord. I'm like, hey, I'm not going to be banning anyone or deleting anyone from the mod team until I get access to VH2 again, and I can make sure they don't have mod panel on VH2 anymore. Yeah, they weren't having it. And unfortunately, my fears of somebody on the VH2 team crashing out and going and banning people in VH2 became true when Ren, Cherry, and someone else I don't remember the name of, they started indiscriminately just banning people on VH2. And also, adding on, I know I said this, I alluded to this earlier, to make things even worse at the time, because I didn't listen to what Vernon had asked me, because I couldn't, because I was afraid of people crashing out, Ren started making a Google Doc about me.
Now, I was originally going to do a bit like I did earlier with like the live Sdfuse reaction thing to the document, but it went disastrously. It turns out I'm actually not very good at responding to criticism on the fly, and it's been so long since I've actually looked at that document that me like reacting to it just wasn't a good idea. So so this section is gonna be basically me going section by section throughout the document and like explaining like the situations behind what is stated in it and like why it happened and yeah. Another thing I'd like to point out is that this section is a drag. The document was really boring, and especially writing this, it was really boring. So if you want a TLDR of what happened, the document blames me for everything, when in reality, while I was at fault for what happened with VH2, it wasn't just my fault. So if you would like to skip this section, please go to the time provided on your screen. So this document opens basically with how and why VH2 originally got shut down back in 2021. It also states that me taking over the game caused it to go downhill. It lists 3 reasons as to why this is the case. Those being, the game was shut down for a reason, the community has gotten worse, and me being a terrible owner. Starting with the original shutdown, the game's original shutdown was caused mainly by the toxic VH2 community harassing VH3 moderators back in the day. And so basically back then, the VH3 mods had both the job of moderating VH3 and VH2, which was causing a lot of stress for the VH3 mods. And another factor for the game's shutdown was the fact that the game had just been seriously neglected. I don't think it had a substantial update since like 2017. And it then goes on to say that after its reopening, more innocent people were harassed for only doing their job. Reason 2. Reason 2 states that the VH2 community has gotten worse and it is a bad look on Zac. Well, if this was true, it'd be more of a bad look on me rather than Zac, because Zac wasn't really involved with anything at the time. It just really wasn't true. I mean, yeah, it was gonna be, when it first reopened, it was gonna be toxic. I mean, we had just unbanned every single member who had been banned from VH2 previously. But by the time of the document's creation, yeah, there were still some bad apples in the orchard, but like, most of them had just been thrown in the VH2R's garden or whatever. And it wasn't as bad as this document seems to paint it. Reason 3. Reason 3 talks about me being a terrible owner. Well, I don't think I was a good one. The reasons brought up they're just really surface level and shallow. Reason 1 for me being a terrible owner. The way I picked my mods. They were via mod applications, if you guys didn't know that. If you also knew, newsflash, the creator of this document helped take part in said mod applications. To even add more facts to this, the people who helped pick the mods were me, Rode, RedRad, Tom, Ren, and Philip. To prove my point even further, in the description of this video, you can find a Google Sheet that contains every single mod app ever submitted for VH2 and VH2.5. That's going to clear everything up. You're going to see a lot of names in that Google Sheet that you're going to recognize for being mod in VH2. Reason number 2 for me being a terrible owner, the demotion of Bendy. They also bring up the demotion of Bendy. Bendy was demoted for about 10 minutes. Yeah, 10 minutes. I will say, I don't remember my exact reasoning for it, and in the document they state that it was for speaking out against Dudami's promotion. Now, as I said, I don't really remember why I demoted Bendy, so I'm just going to take the document's word for it. I demoted Bendy for speaking out against Dudami's promotion, which I think is a bad thing. So yeah, the demotion was invalid. However, Bendy got mod back within 10 minutes. So, take that what you will. Reason 3 for me being a terrible owner, Ren leaving. Ren left the Discord multiple times due to being harassed for doing her job correctly. As I stated earlier, you're a game moderator. People not liking when you ban them is a part of the job. If you can't take that, then you probably shouldn't be a moderator. The document then proceeds to state that the only thing I did to try to mitigate that was enforce a rule. I don't remember what rule I enforced. The document doesn't elaborate on it, but if I remember correctly, having the rules being enforced, I'm pretty sure that's a good thing. So I don't know. It also talks about David and how he harassed Ren constantly, and I kept letting him off the hook. This is a bad thing, and I'm sorry, Ren, that I let that happen. This next section talks about the VH2 staff team, and is really short, actually. It basically talks about how the mods who were hired were incredibly inactive or just not good at their job. and those who would have been good weren't being given the chance. Well, as I stated previously, you were a part of the team that picked the mods, Ren, so you're partly responsible for how the mod team ended up. And the document is right about some of the mods being active. I mean, I don't think I ever saw Duck play the game once. I should have probably done something about this previously, but by the time it had finally clicked in my head that this was a problem, it was too late. This next section talks about solutions to fixing the problems with VH2. Solution number 1, shutting the game down. Oh, what a great solution. This is a terrible thing to do. You shouldn't delete history. This is probably the worst thing Zac's ever done to VH2. Even through all the neglect that he did to the game, that 2021 shutdown was probably like the worst thing he's ever done to VH2. I'm glad that like after all the drama that's happened like recently, that he's kept the game open. I'm thankful for that. But just re-shutting down VH2 it's just like deleting a part of people's childhoods. It would just serve no purpose other than to just antagonize the VH2 community and make an already supposedly toxic community even more toxic. Reason number 2, copywriting the VH2 series. Wow! Oh, I didn't know Zac had that kind of money. Well, I don't think it's right that I started working on VH 2.5 again because of spite. Copywriting the VH series just to prevent me from working on it and Artajaws from working on VH2R. It's just such a dumb idea. Like, not only is this an expensive and unnecessary move, it's just a complete fuck you to the entire VH2 community, which includes the toxicity from VH2R. It would cause huge problems in the VH3 Discord for Zac, and I don't think he and the VH3 team just want to deal with that. So yeah, copywriting the VH2 series, greatest idea ever come up by humankind, right there. Solution number 3, get rid of the VH2 Discord. This wouldn't work. People just create their own VH2 Discord or just go to the VH2R Discord. Which, fun fact, is basically what happened after VH2 died. They all just went to VH2R. So the point just doesn't stand. It states that this would curb any unwanted toxicity. How would this be if supposedly VH2 has always been toxic? The VH2 Discord has only existed for 8 months out of the 8 years VH2 had existed at the time of the document's creation. Why would deleting the VH2 Discord all of a sudden curb all of VH2's toxicity? Clearly, since the Discord didn't get deleted after Tom nuked the old one, you could see that without VH2, the Discord just dies. So this point's just fucking redundant. This next paragraph simply restates what was said previously, and that the game has hurt people's mental health. It also states that Zac has overarching power over me, which, I mean, at the time was true. This next section contains testimonies from former members of the VH2 community. The first testimony is from Silver. Silver apparently was a former VH2 contributor and the second place winner in the VH2 thumbnail contest.
At first, when I joined back, I saw my childhood game was back in action, and I was happy because, well, childhood game resurfacing. As time went on, I started seeing problems, namely the community. The management seemed alright, but little did I know this was actually being tandem. This started spearheading when Fuse had left, leading Tom to take over control. This is the point where management started showing hostility as well, along with the community's toxic behavior escalating, resulting in Tom literally nuking the VH2 server and locking VH2 itself for the second time. Then, it was unlocked again when Fuse took his claim back, but this was shortly before he and the community and friends he himself pulled in began snowballing the problems again. I had little public complaints, but when the problems escalated this time, I simply had enough and walked out. I was hoping I'd get something actually good out of this, but unfortunately, most I have is the thumbnail contest and the interactions with the community members that I felt most comfortable with. I wish I could have a different story to sell. From Silver.
Well, Silver, I'm sorry that your experience in VH2 wasn't very good and the community's toxicity caused you to leave. However, I don't really know how I can respond to you when you've just stated a timeline of events and said things were toxic. So the best I could say is, sorry your experience wasn't up to par, and I hope your future endeavors are better. This next testimony comes from Cherry, a former VH2 mod and a former content creator for VH2.
When I joined VH2, the day it reopened, I was thrilled and excited to play it again after so many years of not touching it and coming back to make one final goodbye to the game when its first shutdown had been established. When I joined, I had a pretty positive outlook and attitude in the community, and I wanted to hopefully bring joy to it, and maybe even do something for the game as well. I started by submitting a map that didn't make it into the game, but gave Fuse some assets he can work with, so he gave me the content creator role. A few weeks later, mod apps were opened, and I applied, in hopes of being accepted. I had a pretty good track record, and I was known for being a content creator for the game. I had no warnings or mutes, and overall was trying to seek ways to help out in any way I could. Eventually, the results were given out, and me and 4 other members were accepted as moderators. And I couldn't have been happier than I was at the moment of being accepted. From that point on, however, many things were going downhill. Many mods had been fired or quit on the spot, rumors of the mod chats being leaked by one of the mods once the new mods were announced, ownership being handed to someone who didn't even care, and much more. Eventually, I took a break to focus on myself, since I would constantly moderate VH2 and find no time for myself and my friends. I figured that my happy and positive attitude wasn't right for this community, and many were taking advantage of my good-natured personality, so I became more strict and less lenient with bans, especially since one of the staff members is almost constantly sexualized despite being a minor and not even 16 years of age. One staff member that I will not name had made some very disgusting comments about human trafficking and how it is normalized in his area, oh my god, and how it isn't bad. And when they made a comment towards the Ronnie McNutt situation, saying it's not as bad as in the video than it is in person, I have staff members who can verify this claim, such as Ren, Marie, Maddie, and others. I had many things bottled up for so long, but VH2 was not the place to express those feelings, because of how toxic the community was, with harassment from players and the Discord server members, not being recognized for what I tried doing for the community, and overall leading my mental state to be in a rapid decline. I eventually contacted Geo Madness, as I figured he would be the best person to speak up about this. So I showed him everything that was said towards one of the staff members, Ren, along with favoritism and harassment. One moderator in particular decided to speak up about the negatives that was happening, and shortly after they got demoted because they quote-unquote took it too seriously. I wish things were better, but sadly they aren't, and they haven't been for the past few months. It took a massive toll on the staff members, leading a lot of us to take long breaks or even quit our job entirely and leave the community for good. I've met a few good people in the community, but I've never taken them for granted, ever. I do think that something should be done about the community in the game. It has been too much for me and a few of my friends, and in hopes that we reach out to you, hoping you can do something about this. But we are all at our limits, and we've had enough. From former moderator / content creator, Cherry.
Hi, Cherry. Thank you for telling your story, and thank you for helping make VH2 better by submitting content and even moderating the game. Let me get to your complaints. You talk about mods getting fired. The only mod that was directly fired, as far as I remember, I could be wrong, it's been a long time, was Philip. And it was due to having my hand twisted by the VH3 team and issues regarding some sour statements he made a few years prior to VH2's reopening. You also bring up when I got upset that someone leaked mod chat messages. I don't really know how this is a bad thing, because it was stated that leaking mod chat was a bad thing. Next, you bring up me giving the game the Tom. I will admit, this was a really bad decision, and I should have given the game the Road or just not have given the game to anyone. I'm sorry that you had to give up your good-natured personality to moderate VH2, however, I'm glad you became more strict and less lenient with bans, because that's how you're supposed to be when moderating a game, especially a VH2's reputation. I'd also like to apologize to the moderator that was put in the situation where she was being sexualized at 14. As I stated previously, I hope the dude who was doing the sexualizing goes to prison. Next, you bring up Fotis. I will admit, Fotis was a problem, and I should have gotten rid of him. At the time, I was trying to be an appeaser and try to seek a middle ground in a situation, but looking back at the terrible things Fotis has said, I don't really know why I didn't just get rid of him. So I'm sorry to those who he affected. Next, you state that you didn't feel as if VH2 was the place to express your feelings, and you went to Geo to vent your frustrations and to inform of the situation with the moderators. Well, I don't really remember if you did or not. Most of my memory tells me that I didn't really know what was going on until it was too late, and that you guys never informed me of things until you had already gone to Geo and he was yelling at me about it. I could be wrong and completely misremembering what happened, but I'd just like to know why you guys didn't talk to me first. Next, you talk about Bendy, which I've already explained. I unjustifiably lost mod for 10 minutes due to speaking out against Dudami. I'm sorry that your experience moderating VH2 wasn't a good experience, and I really do wish it could have been better. I just wish you could have informed me of the complaints before going to Geo and... Oh wait, I almost forgot. Going to VH2 and random banning people with Ren. Oh, I forgot about that. This final testimony is from Ren. Ren is a former VH2 moderator and the creator of this document.
As I've been with VH2 since its reopening in September and before that, the way this community has truly gone downhill, and I finally met a limit in which I could not deal with VH2's toxic work environment and the player base. It gets so tiring when there's a clear bias and favoritism within the staff team, especially after hiring people after anger, liking people that are clearly problematic, and the fact I got blamed on for VH2 possibly being shut down again really says that Sdfuse can't control his community. Yet he waters it down and makes it seem like it isn't as bad. Like I said, I'm done with the VH2 community. I'm done pushing my limits for other people who don't even care. I'm tired of being trashed for doing my job. I've been harassed, not non-stop, since VH2 reopened. I am exhausted, and I do not want to be in a community where not even the staff team can see how horribly treated I am. Therefore, I have resigned from my position and hoping the best for everyone else. From Ren.
I'm sorry, Ren, that your experience with VH2 was really bad, and I recognize you took a lot of bad apples to the face. And I'm sorry that this was the case. You bring up favoritism in the staff team, and I'm sorry that this was the case, but might I add that you were the one benefiting from most of the favoritism, as no matter what happened, I never really ever held you responsible for anything. I mean, not until VH2 got nuked, but, you know. You also say hiring people after anger. I don't even know what that means. No one was hired due to anger, and if you're talking about Dudami, I hired him because he was my friend, and which I've already stated was a bad thing. Yeah, I'll admit again that I like people who are problematic, i.e. David, because I thought it was funny and it was wrong, and I'm sorry for letting David hurt you with no consequences. You then state that I cannot control my community, and I make it seem like it isn't as bad as it truly is. Well, the reason I say it isn't as bad as it truly is from what I saw, it wasn't. Maybe I'm blinded by nostalgia, or maybe because I was the owner, I never really saw any of the toxicity. But the fact still remains, from what I saw, it wasn't as bad as this document paints it out to be. I'm sorry that you were treated terribly, and I wish things were different. The first piece of evidence is me in a really sophisticated way telling someone to kill themselves. At the time, I meant this as a joke, and I think I've matured as of recent that making jokes telling people to kill themselves is not really funny. However, I didn't really mean at the time for this to be taken seriously, so I'm sorry to whoever I ended up saying this to for telling them to kill themselves. This piece of proof is basically showing that I was planning on banning Ren if she banned David, which obviously is a really fucking stupid thing. So I'm sorry for keeping David around, and I'm sorry to those he's affected. Oh, this one's a 2-in-1. We got me basically saying, Jesus, do you like VH2 or what? I'll just Tom the game and you guys will never play it again. And then there's also Marie talking about someone, specifically David, saying ni hao because he thought some dude was speaking in Chinese even though it wasn't. I don't know. I don't have the actual screenshot of that happening, but they just say it in the image, so... As I said previously, David, not a good character, and me saying I'm just gonna Tom the game, I'm pretty sure this was a joke. I think I was just joking at the time. I don't remember. It was a long time ago, but more than likely I was just joking at the time. This one's kind of hard because this is actually a pretty valid piece of proof against me. But at the time of this one, I was incredibly stressed out. I mean, this was in the midst of everything fucking shit hitting the fan like crazy right now. And I had I think if I remember correctly, I had just been told around this time that Cherry had gone to Geo. And Geo, obviously, okay, he joined the Discord and immediately added me. So, and I was just being incredibly emotional at the time. And I'm sorry for this message. As I've said before, David was a problem and I shouldn't have kept him around. And it really isn't a good look on my part that I was egging him on right here, but I was legit just taking his side just to cause problems and just... Yeah, I shouldn't have kept David around. Oh my god. Same thing as stated previously. It's David. I'm not even gonna lie. I don't know what this photo's talking about. Like, who is AC? What the hell is the dude in the middle yapping about? And, like, the final message that, like, okay, seems kind of relevant. Like, people can have an opinion on a ban. I don't know what this one's talking about. I don't know why this one's in here. We got David making an appearance again in this one. And then we also got the same people from the previous image saying, I guess they got muted for something. I don't know enough about the mute to know if it was justified or not. But if it came from the moderators, I'm assuming it's justified. So, yeah. All of these images are the proof of that one moderator getting sexualized by by community members, and as I've stated previously, I hope every single one of these people ends up in prison for the rest of their worthless lives. Also, this isn't in my script, but I would like to actually add this onto here, that I actually did know about that happening, basically the whole thing with the moderating sexualized, because it in fact did get brought up to me back then, and almost the moment it was brought up to me, I permabanned like everyone involved with it, and I don't know if I've said this previously in the video, but I don't want to make it I know I've said previously in the video that, oh, I wasn't in the know of a lot of things, but I was in the know about this, and I did do something about it when, like, the moment I figured out about it. So, yeah. This screenshot, I don't really know what it proves, but it proves that I did eventually ban David when he dropped the hot R in Red Rad's DM, so... the 1 point for Sdfuse. This image is one of the moderators attempting to figure out who, like, contacted Geo. And started blaming people. I don't think it's good that they just immediately started blaming people, so -1 point for Pray for Fuse, whoever that was. I don't remember who it was. I don't even know what this image proves. I don't know who said it or why. It's just, this is completely out of context. I don't know what this is proving. I don't really know the context behind Pray for Fuse beefing with Kuru, but informing me that the chat's been leaked I don't think is a bad thing. But I would need to know more about why Pray for Fuse was beefing with Kuru to know the full context behind this image.
You're not my son anymore. Oh,
You too.
Well, that document I just spent half an hour going through. Yeah. Supposedly it got sent to Zach. I don't know how Zach responded to the document directly. However, what I do know is that Zach, at this point, he just wasn't having it with VH2. At the time, I was DMing Zach, telling him about the situation, like what Cherry and Ren were doing with Mod and VH2, and I was trying to ask him, hey, could I get access to the game so I could go fix the mod panel stuff? And he actually figured out where the mod panel was, and he removed everyone's mod panel, except for Nether, Geo, and Tom. At least I'd assume Tom didn't lose it. He then, I'm assuming, removed everyone's team crate access. He left me a message, and then unfriended me from everywhere, and I'm assuming he has me blocked, and dipped. At the time, I was already really pissed off because of the document, and then, like, I don't know what happened, what, like, came over me. But the fact I didn't get access to the game, it just sent me over the edge. I think I had felt at the time that, like, Zach had ignored me, and, like, he was like, I was like, oh my god, he listened to the document and not me? Oh my god! And I started acting incredibly irrationally. Like, for some odd reason, I would blame the VH3 team for everything, even though their involvement was so little with, like, what went wrong. Like, yeah, they were kind of involved, but, like, just their involvement was so little. And then I also would never acknowledge my own involvement with the downfall. I had this idea in my head that I had, like, done nothing wrong, and that everyone was trying to bring me down, which was just completely wrong. Eventually, not knowing what I was really gonna do, I started working on VH 2.5 again, out of pure spite. I had these, like, crazy fantasies that, like, VH 2.5, it was gonna be bigger than VH2 was in 2015, and this is how I was gonna get back at Zach for ignoring me. I don't know if it's apparent, but that didn't, not only did that not happen, the entire VH 2.5 Discord, like the new one that still exists to this day, it was just a hate on Zach fest. I think I spent more time hating on Zach in that Discord than I did actually making VH 2.5. The development of VH 2.5 during this time, it was actually pretty smooth. I mean, you can go play it now. I mean, it's not like the world's best game, but it's better than old VH 2.5. Here's a funny thing, spectating actually works in it. But it's just, this entire time, I was acting super rude. I would constantly make jokes about Zach's personal life, and I would just mock the VH3 team. Eventually, my spite, however, just ran out. I slowly stopped working on VH 2.5, but it doesn't excuse how irrational I was during this time. So, I'd like to say this. Gio, I'm sorry for constantly blaming you for contributing to VH2's downfall, even though you had little involvement. And Ren, I'm sorry for constantly antagonizing you during this time and making you seem like you were the problem, or the main reason for VH2's downfall. Finally, I'd like to get to Zach. Zach, I don't know if you're going to watch this video, and I wouldn't blame you if you didn't. I'm really sorry for the way I acted when you put the final nail in VH2 Development's coffin. Looking back, I don't really know what had gotten into me that caused me to be the way I was. I'd assume that the VH3 team has told you about me leaking the VH2 place file. I don't really know why I did it. Looking back at the conversation you had when you first gave me VH2, you commented about how you were scared of the VH2 place file being leaked, and I regrettably made that fear a reality. I've tried as of recent to retract it, but it's just the damage has already been done, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the constant jokes about your Twitter account. I should have minded my own business and not turned your personal life into a joke. There's probably many more things I could apologize for, but I think I made my point. Zach, I'm genuinely sorry for how I acted, and I hope that someday we can make amends. From Sdfuse. P.S. I hope KBR is a success. It seems pretty fun. So you're probably wondering, after all that, after VH3, VH2, and VH 2.5, now what? Well, VH2 is dead. I mean, it rarely ever sees above 5 players. Maybe once in a blue moon it'll reach 10 players. It's really quite a shame. It's a pretty good game. It just needs some work. But if you want to play VH2, your best bet's probably just go play VH2R. I mean, I think it still gets updates. I haven't really been in the know about it, but I think it still gets updates, and most of the dedicated VH2 players are there. So if you want to go play VH2, go play VH2R. VH 2.5 is canceled. It doesn't feel right to work on it. I mean, especially since it's just made almost purely out of spite, and I have better things to do nowadays other than work on VH 2.5. And finally, VH3, it's slowly being killed off. Zach doesn't give it content updates anymore because he's focused on KBR. You might be wondering what I've been up to. I personally haven't really been doing much. I'm in my senior year of high school. I have a job as a machinist. However, as of recent, I actually went back and finished my remake of Office Complex that I had been working on a long time ago. If you didn't know, when I got unbanned back in 2022, I started remaking Office Complex because I was like, oh, the map's not a very good map, and it got kind of sidelined due to the whole Haywyre drama. Because I'd like to say I was working on the Office Complex remake and VH2 VH 2.5 at the same time. So eventually it got sidelined because of the Haywyre drama. Because if you remember, the old office was Ham Enterprise Offices, and I was working on VH2. I mainly feel bad for Road when it comes to the Office Complex. He really, really liked working on it, and he kept trying to get me to work on it in between all, the whole drama. He kept trying to get me to work on it, and I just kind of kept putting it off. And so, Road, I'm sorry that I kind of bailed on you when it came to Office Complex, but hey, at least it's finished now. 2 years later. Yay. I've also been playing Fortnite with my IRL friends, but I'm sure you guys definitely care about that. Another thing is I recently actually got unbanned from VH3, which was nice. It was a nice Christmas present from the VH3 team. Now, I will say, the game's certainly a lot better than I actually initially thought it was going to be. But I still believe 2020 and 2021 VH3 were peak. If you're wondering about the other VH2 devs, I can't really say much about them. Road and RedRad, they're working on a game called Yeah, and another game called That Game. I'm being serious, those are the names of those games, and they're both really good games that you guys should go play. I got no clue what Tekron's doing, simple as that. And if I remember correctly, Tom, he's like a prominent member in the retro studio community, so I don't know what position he has there, or what his role is, but I know he's popular over there, so yeah. Overall, I think the short time I worked on VH2 was definitely an interesting experience. I learned a lot of valuable life lessons throughout all of it, and I don't think 8-year-old me back in 2015 could have expected like this to even happen. Like, I found like my old computer from back then, so I have a bunch of old videos of me playing VH2. One of the videos is of me named Twitch Sdfuse, and I get killed as vampire. I get so angry, I literally go, "No Twitch for you guys."
Is this nigga serious?
Yeah, looking back, that video's kind of embarrassing, but yeah, they don't know that kid back in 2015 is gonna be the one working on VH2 in 8 years. I don't think a single person back then saw that coming. I'd also like to thank Zach for giving me the opportunity to even have this experience and like work on VH2 and stuff. Moving on, you might have noticed the date that this video has been uploaded. December 31st marks the birthday of VH2, at least according to the ROBLOX game page. VH2 was first created on December 31st, 2014, which makes December 31st, 2024 its 10th birthday. So, to mark VH2's 10th birthday, I'm going to have Philip, a VH2 OG and a former VH2 moderator, talk about and explain VH2's past from the VH2 community's perspective.
Hello everyone, my name is Philip, and before starting, I'd like to thank Fuse for inviting me and letting me be a part of this video. I've been seeing videos that people were making about VH2 and the VH series in general, who hadn't had that much experience with the game, and to be honest, therefore glossed over the game's full story. Well, that's why I'm here. As someone who had played VH2 throughout its entire lifetime and had seen every state the game was in, I'll be giving you guys a rundown of the game's entire history. So let's begin. 2015 to 2016 were in my opinion the healthiest years of VH2. The game was fresh, people were not as experienced, and everybody was friendly enough to not spike out any toxicity with one another. I still remember exactly what outfit I was wearing when I first started playing the game. And I also remember hiding in tucked away spots on a map and being genuinely afraid of the vampires coming up my way. Your first experience finding a nice hiding spot like the cage or inside lockers on Bamble Cottage, the lamps on Crooked Factory, little ratty spots in the debris of broken subway, the trees on isolated graveyard, and even the learning how to get on top of the chimney on Queer Cove. 2015 to 2016 were honestly the most innocent years of the game since everybody was new. People were still experimenting with new stuff, trying everything out, wanting to see, use every gadget and or vampire ability they could afford, even begging the vampire to let you go after they grabbed you in the slightest hopes that they would let you stay alive. And while we're on the topic of being grabbed by a vampire, I'm certain all the OG players will remember this. Yeah. That was painful to keep your mouse on such a tiny space while you were mashing it to escape. The game's first impressions were absolutely amazing, and I simply find 2015 to 2016 to be the golden ages of the game. 2017 to 2019. Arguably, the most fun and devastating years for VH2 players were between 2017 and 2019. The beginning of 2017 saw a lot of things. The birth of very large clans that started pretty much overtaking the whole game, and there were many, so many of them. Their whole purpose was to unite the community and help it grow though. But also, one of the premises for the majority, or even all of these clans, was that no member of the clan was allowed to kill another member. Unfortunately, this was the biggest issue with clans. It resulted in mass teaming, to to the point where if you were in a server full of clan members and you died at the beginning of the round, you'd have to wait 10 plus minutes because the clan members would be fighting each other, giving one another time, and overall messing around because the entire server is theirs. And you're just another random who is not a part of their clan. Clans brought more life to the game in 2017 because it was a new way for people to meet each other. But after a while, it became apparent that it was killing the game slowly, since people grew sick and tired of it, and I don't blame them for that. Even though I can see how the clans negatively affected the game, I'm really glad they existed, because I was a member of one. Glow Gang, to be exact. The biggest clan rivalry in VH2 was between Glow Gang, led by WesXo and Jove, and Team X, led by Zyrickson. Both of these clans had over 1,500 members, Glow at some point even reaching 2,000, which only shows how massive clans became in such a simple game. I only mentioned 2 of the most popular clans, but there were many more, such as Cherry Clan, Division Clan, Silent Clan, Serial Killers, Sage Clan, Solus Clan, and the list goes on. Honestly, the clans were such a big thing at this time that it was every new day there was a new clan almost being made at this period. These were nowhere near as big as Glow Gang nor Team X, having about 100 to 500 members, which still are decent numbers, but they couldn't reach the top dogs simply. The entirety of 2017 was filled with clan wars and fun but exhausting toxicity, which drew so many casual players away from the game. Funny exposing videos from clan members were made on YouTube with the sole purpose to expose the playstyle of the members of another clan in hopes to put themselves in a brighter light and show off how they're actually better at the game compared to them. It was very fun. Very fun. I still remember getting pinged on Glow Gang's Discord server whenever a Team X member would talk shit in game. We just mass joined the server to talk shit right back and have a fun, toxic war. To many people it was fun, but I cannot deny the fact that the clan wars were a big part in what killed VH2 for so many people. And I don't blame you if you feel that way, because it's simply the truth. 2018 was the year where VH2 really started to fall off. The clans were still there, but they weren't really present since the player base sort of started to dwell down. But the major issue in the game had in this year were exploiters. They came out of their little caves, to be said the least. People were making so many new exploits and simply found the way to bypass everything that VH2 code had to offer. And you simply couldn't do anything against them since there was no mod team for the entirety of its lifetime up until 2020. It was a plague, a genuine plague that took over the game for almost the entire year. This was the year where I quit the game for 8 months due to it being close to unplayable, even unplayable, because every single person you talk back to were better than, or even just killed, could at any point whip out a full morphine god mode fly infinite gun script and start terrorizing the server at any given point simply because they could. And there was nobody stopping them. As I said, the clans were still around and active, but the sudden appearance of exploiters to a massive number really did a number on the game's player base during this year, and the game started to suffer a lot. In 2019, the year where majority of the things calmed down, honestly, exploiters calmed down, the game was averaging about 300 to 500 players a day. I know, a heavy fall off from what VH2 used to be back in 2015 and 2016 days, which was around the number of 15,000. But the game was somewhat playable since the heavy exploiting was gone to a degree. People still use scripts and cheats, but nowhere nearly as much as before. This was also the year where loyal players tried to revive the clans and clan wars, which kind of worked but kind of didn't. Also the year a lot of new good players started appearing, so it was almost a breath of fresh air, since majority of the exploiters were gone, and people didn't mass team as much due to clans slowly starting to die out this year, and the game not having that high of a player count anymore. Which leads us to the next year, 2020. 2020, the year where quite literally everything changed for the game. A mod team was finally assembled to keep everything in check. I can't lie, the mods from VH3 were doing a good job in keeping VH2 playable, even if they weren't perfect. They were banning players for stupid reasons in some cases and facing no backlash cause nobody cared about the game anymore, but I'll talk more about that later. Unfortunately, by this time, the damage had been done from the previous years. The player base dropped down to a measly 20 to 50 players a day, and even if the game was fixed when it came to exploiting and teaming by having a good mod team, the bugs that were still there since the very beginning were still present. Even though Zach did bother to put some invisible walls on certain maps to prevent you from glitching out of the map. Sometimes you didn't even have the escape bar when you got grabbed by a vampire, which was a bug that started to happen in 2020. One of the funniest bugs that was discovered around this time period was object or morphine jumping. It allowed you to bounce off a gadget that the survivor had when thrown in midair and reach spots that shouldn't be able to reach. And some people, such as myself, took that to the extreme and used it to jump over vampires while juking them and reach above the skyboxes of the map, to the point where you would just walk on the skybox like 100 meters in the air and the vampires couldn't do anything to you. Nothing really special happened in 2022. The mod team was a good addition, but at this time it was too late to bring the player base back, so it wasn't a big deal because what follows next throws it all out the window. 2021, the literal doomsday. The game was at its worst state in this time, and because a lot of drama that had happened around this time period especially, an ex-VH3 admin, Haywyre, getting doxxed by a VH2 content creator, fuck you for that, Tyler, it was decided that the game was going to be shut down on the 30th of December 2021, over 3 years ago at this point. Keep in mind, the game at this time was struggling badly, and that's an understatement. Literally barely averaging 30 players a day, sometimes even having no players at all. But to me and some of my closest friends who still played the game decided to call up all the old heads of the game to have one last dance and enjoy it while it lasted. At this point, whatever rivalries happened in the past between me and these players, between all the OG players that were called back, I didn't look at any of that. I was playing with those people as players and enjoying the game while it was still up, and I hope that everybody else was doing that as well. Without toxicity and without beef, simply to play the game as people who had loved it for all this time. We managed to bring the player count up to 300 to 400 people on the game's closing day while screaming goodbye to VH3 in every single server that was up. Until we saw the disconnected. The game's developer had temporarily shut down the servers, which meant that VH2 had been officially closed. This was my objective history lesson about the game for more of the casual side of the VH2 players who didn't get to experience the game to its fullest or simply didn't bother playing the game that much. Well, I hope that I brought back some memories to the game for you, and I hope that I explained the whole story of the game. This game marked childhoods for a lot of people around the world, and it pains me that it was taken with such little care, and there's nobody else to blame on that but Zach himself. In my personal opinion, and I think that anybody who has played this game for a very long time, it is absolutely absurd how this game survived for as long as it did without having constant mod team and constant updates to it. VH2 saw one update from 2015 to 2017 and one update from 2017 to 2020. 2 updates in total over the course of 5 years. Who is to blame for that other than the creator himself, Zach? Zach, in case you're watching this, I want to start off by simply saying that you have made a game that marked childhood for so many players and so many people around Roblox, and to myself as well. At some point, I was just another kid waiting for school to be done so I can go home and play Vampire Hunters 2. I spent one entire summer break of mine locked in my room and playing Vampire Hunters 2. And it was amazing. I love that time period. But that doesn't mean that your laziness and pure uninterest in the game is justified just from you having made a very fun and original game for its time. Zach himself is, in my eyes, a very talented person when it comes to both making maps, to scripting, to generally creating games. Hell, he's even talented in music, because he made all the music for the entire VH series, except the first one, by himself. But he's a horrible manager. I understand that he was 14 at the time of when he made the game, but you cannot tell me that when he saw that the game was such a success that he couldn't think of hiring a mod team or doing anything about the game to keep it alive. He used his popularity from VH2 to draw in players and people and publicity for his future projects, for something greater, quote unquote. And that succeeded with Vampire Hunters 3. Because what did he do? He made an amazing game that absolutely skyrocketed, didn't care about it whatsoever because he didn't like the player base, that he could have fixed if he bothered enough, but he used that popularity to work on something better. And if we're being completely objective, VH3 is a better game than VH2. But VH3 is never going to surpass VH2 in any way, shape, or form, no matter how good the game is. The memories that people have with VH2 are unmatchable. VH3 doesn't hold a special place in so many people's hearts like VH2 does, and that is simply the fact. You cannot tell me that it is excusable to leave a game completely unchecked and to blame the game's player base for how toxic it became when the game's developer did not even give the game a chance to be functional and have a proper mod team up until the game was already dead in 2020. It didn't have a mod team in 2015 and 2016 when it had around 10,000 to 15,000 players a day. No, it only got a mod team 5 years later when the game was pretty much dead and full of bugs. So, do I blame Zach for VH2's downfall completely instead of the exploiters and the teamers and every toxic player in the game? Yes. I blame Zach for VH2's downfall because he didn't bother with the game that made him who he was. I'm not denying his talents and I'm not denying that he's a great developer on its own. But you, Zach, if you're watching, you're a horrible manager. When the game was shut down, there were so many mixed emotions. People first, some of them were happy, but a lot of them were sad. And I understand the people who were happy for it because they were genuinely people who hated this game. But I was sad, very sad. And right now, I am going to read off the list of every single OG player and, frankly, the best players that ever touched this game. The list goes on like this. Genetics, 2411708. Stacks VR, XXZWO. Jove, WesExo, Greenboy767, Andevar, Janovo, Corrupt Toretto, Zilixfy, It's Doomy, Krazo6, Mylodal, Alikins, Moonlit Airy, 075J, High End, XJV, Phantomxy 2021, Ycory1, Dropout Sav, Kai Elixis, XX Red White Blue, XX Speaker Knox, Seneca 27, Rip Optimus 606, Nightly Disorder, Zyrixon, Maddie Ghost Girl, Mightjet, Bromine X, Vlone Ryan, Alex Fun 21356, Flying Cloud, XXZUL, ZZUL, Hit Myself, Adil 2015A, Master Guapo XD, Mimson Swag, Sylve, Eva Ikian, XI Sammy, Mami Adri, Astrophysics, IX Hella, IZ Hella, Polinka 666, Mistaken Mist, Ugly One Asian Boy, Photos, Y5WNS, John Crow, Ham High, VXN Oreo, Ricky Rims 250, Augusti, Gremiller, Arrow, V Veins, The Awesome J Gamer, V Magic, Cyphrase, IIOMQ Jessica, C_, Logical Josh, Aloha Jane, Hey, it's Noah, 1199s, Cupic, Malik Acid, Dylan, Haidar, Loaded Sniper Shot, myself. I would consider these players the most OG and at the top of the list when it comes to general recognition in the game and overall their skill set. Because in my opinion, all these players that I just mentioned, if you asked any of them, they would agree that majority of these players, or if not all of these players, belong on this list for the best / most OG players that this game had seen. And of course, I can't exclude Fuse from that, because he had played the game back in 2015. And since I'm the outro to the video, I hope you enjoyed. This was a very long video, and I'm glad Fuse made it, and I'm glad he let me be a part of it. Everybody, enjoy.
I'd like to thank you guys for watching this video. I hope the video was informative about what happened 2 years ago, and I hope that you leave this video with a different perspective as to what happened back then. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video and have a good rest of your guys' days.